Hi everyone, and welcome to our Create a Mario Party board contest number 3. This one is themed for winter, holiday, Christmas, and we are your review panel. We're going to grade all the submissions, we're going to give them a score, and we're going to give our advice. Before we start, I am Michael Kazuara, also known as Super Zamazi on Twitter, YouTube, Mario Party Legacy, and my other judge is Michael Rudolph.
Oh, hello everyone. My name is Michael Rudolph, better known across the internet as Spider Star You, aka the biggest Donkey Kong fan ever. I mean, come on, biggest Donkey Kong fan. I do videos, I do podcasts on my YouTube channel, like Spider Chat, which you can check out on my YouTube channel or on iTunes. Look up Spider Chat or look up Spider Star You. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I do. And I'm going to be the second judge here, judging your guys' boards.
Right. And before we get into grading all 9 submissions, we had 9 boards submitted. We are going to go over 2 things. The first is that we want you to know that our criticism can come off as a little harsh, and that is because we really want to give the best advice. We don't want to skip on any details. We want your boards to be the best that they can be, and we are going to have to criticize them for that. And it might sound not too nice, but we don't want you to take it personally. We want to make that upfront, and just keep that in mind as we go throughout all 9 boards. The other thing is we want you to understand the guidelines. For this contest, we are grading 7 different categories. The first is background. That's the actual artistic design without the spaces, the path layout, how the board looks, how it works together. The second is path layout. That is, without thinking about the spaces themselves, is how the different paths work. Do they work well? Are there any too long, too short, weird ones, whatever? Anything smart, anything creative. The third category is space distribution. That's the actual spaces and which ones you decided to use for each space. Okay, too many chance time spaces, that's going to be a problem with me. Okay, keep that in mind.
And me.
Yep, there you go. Our passing events. Those are Bowser in Mario Party 1, bank, item shops, the star locations.
Yes.
How they all fit, are they in smart places? Originality. Did you have a creative concept that hasn't been used before, or a concept that has been used before and you did it just really well? Maybe the background, you just had a really good idea. That's originality. Or guidelines. That's just, did you follow all the guidelines that we had for the contest? If you listened to what we said was required, then you're going to get your full points for that. And for the contest theme, that's just going to be, does it fit the winter, Christmas, holiday theme? And did you do a really creative job at that? If it's a little bland, then, that's where we take a little points off. Every category is worth 5 points, except for background, path layout, and originality. Those are worth 10 points each, so we put an extra focus on those. And I think we just covered everything, so we're ready to move on to our first board. By the way, we are doing this in order of submission. So the first board is the first one we received, the last board is the last board we received. So, let's go ahead and get started. Our first board is the Snowy Kingdom. This is submitted by Luigi88, and it's a board for Mario Party 1. So, let me go ahead and read the description they left. It's very short. A special snow board made in Minecraft. Have fun. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with the very first thing, the background. Okay, Star You, I just, went on a whole long thing. I'll let you go first.
All right, thank you. Yes, I know you take a long time sometimes. All right, so for the background, here's the thing with this board. The background is snow. The background is just plain out snow. Just it's in the winter, so as you can guess, snow will be everywhere around the board. Now, we gave a low score for this. We gave 2 out of 10 for the background because this is a very, very basic background. Now, we love people who create their own backgrounds, who create their own layouts, things like that. That's really cool. But that is just very bare minimum. Like, there could have been a lot of things you could have done. You could have had, like, maybe Shy Guys in the snow, Goombas. Just those little things could have made it stand out more.
Right.
But with just a basic background, with just snow, it's like, oh, like what, was it like a winter storm and then the whole place got covered and that was it? That wasn't made clear in the description. So just a basic snowy background, snowy floor isn't really the most enticing. It doesn't make you want to play it. Now, remember this, and I'm going to say this later on as well. For every board, a background is important. Why is it important? Background basically is the whole life of the board. Besides the path layouts and background go hand in hand. Now, the path layouts, you know, there's an interesting shape going on. We're going to get into that soon. But with the background, you know, it should have interesting stuff around there that'll make you be like, ooh, oh, I see that. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, you'll look around. When you play the game, you'll look around and you see something cool to the side. Like, when we played Deep Blue Sea back in the day, I would always point out the crab with the flag that was in like, the start of the board, because that was pretty interesting. That was funny. When there's nothing interesting in the background, I feel like it's not that enticing. It's not that interesting.
Right.
So we gave a 2 out of 10 for that.
Yeah, I really want to point out that, like, I love when people do stuff like they use Minecraft to make a board. Like, that's cool, that's creative, but
yeah, sure.
Just because something was done creatively, it doesn't mean the end result is actually something that fits with Mario Party. In this case, it just doesn't. It does not fit. So I don't know how much time went into this. Ultimately, it just doesn't fit, and that's why we gave it the low score. Why don't we move on to path layout? So the path layout, as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. I think that our main issue was that you ultimately, with all the junctions that there are, you ultimately end up on a very long and frankly boring path. That's the top path, the right side, and back to start. So, what do you think, Starry?
With path layouts, the path layout, I like the angle it's at. It's a very interesting angle. That's one thing I liked about the board, the angle. But the path layouts are very, very, very basic, and we're gonna get into this during space distribution. But there's a lot of long paths, very long paths. Now, with boards like that, you would want to have things like mushroom spaces, which I'll mention that in space distribution, so I'll get more into that there. But that's something to keep in mind for other people who want to create boards in the future, and for Luigi 88 for future boards. If you're gonna have a long path, it'd be wise, if it's Mario Party 1, it'd be wise to have like a mushroom space there, so that you're not always like stuck in just one area. You'll have a better chance of going forward and exploring more.
Yeah, so we ultimately gave you a 2 out of 10 for that. So that's just another thing you gotta also consider when actually creating the background, is how your path is going to go. In fact, my advice is when you make a custom board, make your path layout first. Don't make your custom background first. Make your path layout first and create the background based on that. That's my advice.
Yes.
So, space distribution. We ultimately said good distribution for long paths. Additional mushroom spaces would be nice. We mentioned that.
Like what I just said.
So we gave that a 3 out of 5. Now for passing events. Okay, so we had quite a few issues with this one. What was your biggest issue, Staryu?
Well, Super Zambazee, my biggest issue with this was a lot of Bowser passing events. Now, for Mario Party 1, it is wise to put one Bowser passing event on the board. Why? Because, I mean, in Mario Party, that's how many... I mean, there's one Bowser, right? There's not... As far as we know, there's not 4 Bowsers unless Bowser multiplied himself. There's one Bowser. So, Bowser should only be in one location at a time. Now, with this board, it might have been an error or it might have been intentional, but there are 4 Bowser passing events. Now, the way this board was made is if you pass a Bowser space, you'll visit Bowser. Like, you don't have to land on it, you just pass it and then you stop by and Bowser says hello. Bowser says hello. So that's a very that's not a good thing. It's a very negative thing. You don't want too many Bowsers. That I think that's generally a given. You don't want that many Bowsers because that's going to be a lot of coin loss and people won't be able to buy stars, and especially for one-way boards, you kind of don't want things like that to happen. So yeah, we gave you a 1 out of 5 for that.
You lose 20 coins, correct? Each time you pass.
You lose 20 coins. The way Party Planner works is you lose only 20. There's nothing available yet to make it more or less.
Right.
It's always going to be 20.
Yeah, and there are 2 of them on that long path at the end. So you will be required to go down that path at one point, and you'll lose 40 coins at least. Can you imagine if you landed on a Bowser space and passed? Like that's bad news. That's not good.
You're not a lucky person if that happens.
Right, and there are just other issues like you can't pass star, and that's free coins. We want free coins. Please put start where we can pass it. Now, for originality, we mentioned a lot about this already. You created the board in Minecraft. That's unique and creative, but nothing really goes beyond that. So you have that original creation idea, but when you look at the board itself, it's very, very generic, and there really isn't much to it. So we gave it a 3 out of 10. Yeah. Okay. The next category, there are 2 more. Whew. This is the guidelines, and I'll just be as blunt as possible. If your board does not work, then you get 0 points. And that's what we had to do here. When you put the board into Party Planner 64, the tool that lets us play these games on the actual N64 Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 ROM, if there's a problem with the board that won't let it be overwritten into the game, it will tell us that. And if you send us a board that has multiple errors, that's just not acceptable. So for this one, we gave you 0 out of 5 points. You need to have at least, at the very, very minimum, have tested the game yourself. And if you had errors, that means you did not test it. So 0 out of 5. I don't think there's much else to add there. Okay, contest theme. We gave this one a 1 out of 5. Features snow. And that's really the only indication that this is a winter board. So,
I mean, one thing to keep in mind when you make these boards is there's always something interesting you want to have that, you know, makes the board special, that makes it interesting. And with just a snowy background, with just really plain out paths, you know, not many people might be interested in that. And we do these contests because we want to see people's boards, but also because we want to help you make better boards. Someone might not want to download your board if it's really bare minimum, and especially when things don't work and things like that. You know, this could be your first time doing this, so you know we'll give you that. You know, it could be your first time, and the only place to go from here is up. So if you make another board in the future, I'm sure it'll be tons better because now you know how to make a better board, and maybe you'll fix the mistakes and you can make a better board.
right.
So it's not all negative. It's just next time will be better.
Yes.
Just keep that in mind.
So for the final score, this is all out of 50. We give you a 12 out of 50. Now, I want to make one thing very clear is that in the past, our other 2 contests, we had some pretty high scores over there, and I wouldn't like people to compare this contest to those contests as much. I think here we are being a lot more strict and a lot more not as generous with the numbers this time around. So if your score is, you feel a little too low and compared to the other contests, I just want you to remember that we're doing things a little bit differently this time. So yeah, that's the final score, 12 out of 50. Thank you so much for submitting. Let's move on to the second board. This is Frostbite Ruins. It's by Ingo H, and it is for Mario Party 2. So, Here we have the description. Staryu, I think you would love to read this description, or at least go over some of the main points.
Okay, I'll read the description that Ingo gave us. Okay, here we go. When I found... This is Ingo speaking. When I found out about this contest in the board editor, I was very excited. I love Mario Party and creating custom games/boards. When I started creating this board, I was planning on making it a Mario Party 1 board, but I changed it to Mario Party 2. It was made in 4 days and 6 hours per day, mostly testing and aligning the spaces. Now it's done and probably the first entry in the contest. That was not the first entry, that was second entry. And he basically says, it's winter, Mario and his friends are bored and they want another party. They tried Mario Party Top 100 and there was only one board. Shade at Mario Party Top 100.
But true.
Very true. Very, very, very true. Anyway, continuing on. But there was only one board, so Mario and his friends decided to make their own board. After hours of sweeping snow, or shoveling snow, and creating paths through ruins and building a cabin, they can finally start a party. And then he basically goes over the happening spaces, like one happening space, you can ride a penguin.
10 coins.
You choose to ride a penguin, and you make players lose 5 coins. There's another happening where you can ride Dory. You guys remember Dory? You can ride Dory and across the lake go from right to left or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much how the happening spaces work.
If they work, because for those that don't know, Party Planner 64, happening spaces, not a thing, do not work, and you definitely can't make your own custom happening spaces. So if those work, that's what we would use, and we actually ask people to send in what they would like their happening spaces to do. So
yeah, because we like to hear those ideas, because it might happen in the future. You never know. So
yes.
Okay, so let's go through the review of this board. Okay, first is background. Now here's what I think about the background. I love the way the board is. I love the different trees that you have. I love Dory in the lake. That was my favorite part. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, it's Dory. Oh, that's so cool. But one thing I will say about the background is I wish there was a little bit more. Maybe some characters, maybe just something, because the way you made especially the way you made the description sound, you were like, oh well, they're making another party with a new board. So I was thinking that if they're making a new board and it's a new party, then why aren't more people there? You know what I mean? So that's kind of just something I would have thought would have been there. But overall, you know, it's solid. I love the way you made the mountain look with the cabin and the trees and little penguins on the board. So we gave you a 6 out of 10 for this, for the background. You want to say something, SC? You want to add anything?
I generally agree. It's just...
Okay.
Yeah, just wish there was more to it.
Next is path layout. Now some of the path layouts we thought were a little bit long, especially at the top. Yeah. They're very long at the top. And you know, some people like, you know, long paths. But one good thing you did to counteract that is you have an item shop and you included some item spaces around there. So people can get mushrooms and golden mushrooms so they can just speed through those paths. So that's a good thing that you added to make sure to counteract the very long paths. So for the path layouts, you know, they're pretty nice and very easy to follow. So we gave you a 6 out of 10 for that as well. Now for space distribution, we gave you a 5 out of 5. We love the space distribution on your board. It's very... I feel like you, Ingo, you know Mario Party. I feel like you know Mario Party a lot because there's not too many chance time spaces. There's what? There's like 2 on the board. I think there's 2. And they're not on obvious paths, so you're not going to go through it obvious unless you want to for the one in the middle. But there's enough battle spaces. There's some green spaces. Not too many chance time, not too many battle. There's a good amount, there's a healthy amount of item spaces. So we love the space distribution you did for the board. So we gave you a 5 for that. Totally great.
There is one thing that I would mention because the Dory happening space over there, kind of in the middle of the board, we would probably lower that happening space down 2 spaces because it gets you across to the other side. But where it stands now, you're only skipping too many spaces. So at least putting it down 2 more, that would just help that space. But it doesn't even matter right now for Party Planner. It's not going to work anyway. So everything is good in my book.
All right. Next one is passing events. Now, for passing events, we said the item shop's in a great place, banks are fine, and Boo is hard to reach. Yes. So one thing you want for most boards is you want Boo to be hard to reach. Now, I kind of understand why some people may want Boo earlier, because that could be sometimes fun for Boo to be earlier and to steal earlier. Like, you know, Mario Party 2 Western Land, where they have Boo like really at like literally at the beginning. So I understand why people want to do that, but I usually like Boo far off. You don't want Boo to be easy to get to, because Boo can easily change the game when it comes to stealing stars, and he can change the game and can change your friendships. Yes, he can do that.
How true
so.
that statement is.
Very true. Item shop's in a phenomenal place. I love exactly where you put it, and you know, banks are in a good place too. So we gave you, I believe, a 5 out of 5 again. Gave you another 5 points for that. So you did an amazing job with that, Ingo. Yeah. Okay. Next is originality. Now, in this one, we gave you a little bit less points, and let me explain why. We said that it's pretty standard. Now, one thing I want you to... Okay, what's that? Okay, so what we mean by standard is this pretty much is like, kind of like the first board, where it's like just a glob of snow, and that's it. Now, when we think of winter themes, like I think of like, you know, you can do like Christmas, you can do, you know, other holidays like that, or you can do, you know, Winter Wonderland. You can do. There's so many different things you can do. You can do a gingerbread house. I want to see someone do that. That would be pretty cool. Like a whole gingerbread house. That'd be interesting. But with this one, it's just snow. We're in an area with snow, and that's it. That's pretty much what it is. So we gave you 4 points for that. We of course we still love we like the board a lot. It's just. It is pretty standard. It is a very standard system, like just snow, Mario Party board. That's it. That's it. So we gave you 4 points.
Spaces, stuff that could have been used for something a little more interesting.
Yeah.
So.
For guidelines, we gave you 5 out of 5. Everything was met. You followed the rules. Thank you so much for following the guidelines. The guidelines are there for a reason. And lastly, contest theme, we gave you 3 out of 5. Like I said, with originality, it's average, but you know, it fits the winter and snowy theme, of course. But it's pretty average, so we gave you a 3 out of 5. And ultimately, you have a score of 34 out of 50. So that is your score for your board. Thank you so much, Ingo, for sending in your board. Once again, it's called Frostbite Ruins from Mario Party 2. And yeah, thank you so much, Ingo H, for sending your board in.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the third submission. This is Christmas Outpost. It's by Mantle Zone, and this is for Mario Party 2 as well. So, as you can see, there it is. Let me go ahead and read what he wrote to us for a description. I actually had an idea for the third custom board contest, and even got most of it ready, but the photos didn't properly work, so I had to resort to making another board. Enter Christmas Outpost. My entry for the third Mario Party Legacy custom board contest is Christmas Outpost. In this Mario Party 2 board, the players are tasked with collecting stars in a snowy tundra. Feel free to stop by the Holiday Inn for a warm break, some items, and a possible star. This board was created a while ago, but after some editing, it's all ready for the contest. So, let's get into the first category with background. So first things first, we definitely think this board is bursting with energy. There's lots going on. There is something filling up almost every space. There is a lot of colors going on, even for a winter board. Usually you think white, blue, things like that, but there's quite a bit going on here. We think the inn is a very good idea.
Yes. I love the strawberries in the inn, especially. I love the strawberries.
Actually, can you comment and tell us what the strawberries are about? Because we were talking about that for a little bit. We're not quite sure what they're doing there. It's right near the Christmas
tree. There's a little item shop there. There's presents. I believe presents. Those question mark blocks. I believe those are presents on the floor. There's a Koopa, which I believe he's near a sleigh, and his shell fell off. So his shell's like off to the side. He's chasing it. That's all that's happening in the inn. And then, on the outside, you see lots of snowmen galore, tons of snowmen. Penguins on the side. Yeah, deer. Pokemon. The Pokemon. Sasbuck, I think that's his name, and Deerling. I think those are their names.
Yeah,
I know Pokemon, but Generation 5 sometimes is like, oh, for me. So, yeah, you have little, like, reindeer there. You have penguins. It's pretty nice. I see exactly what you were doing here.
Right. So, we just went through all the positives. Now we're going to get into some of the negatives. I always say this, that I love when people make a custom background. They really create something from scratch themselves. And I think that's what holds this board back the most. We see a lot of reused art, a lot of official art, lots of like textures thrown in from other games, and that works, but it doesn't really feel as natural as it should. So there's a lot of the Pokemon. There's a lot of Pokemon that just kind of got copied, and while it does give, that's usually why we say it's bursting with energy, because there's a lot going on, but it doesn't necessarily look the best or feel the most Mario Party. And so I think that's the biggest drawback here. Even in the inn, like, the inn is such a great idea and we can see what you were going for, but it's held back by kind of the blockiness and literally the question block. Like, that looks kind of odd there, and it's just, we would really love custom backgrounds. That's usually what gives us, what we do, high ratings for the custom background. So for this one, ultimately 5 out of 10, positives and both. So now for the path layout. So one thing I really love about the path layout, and this goes into the background, is that you can clearly see where the path is. Outside, it's that dark blue path. Very easy to know where it is and where you're going. Same thing with inside, it's the black path, it's there, you can't get confused. You also have arrows placed so we know which direction to go to in a junction. Yeah. Staryu, what else do you think about this?
With path layouts, I love the color of the paths. That's one thing I said when we were reviewing this board. I love the color that you did, especially when you go inside the inn. I love how it's the same exact, like, it's the same length and everything, but it's just a different color. I just love little details like that, because it shows that, you worked on it. And when you add curvature to Mario Party boards, that's a good thing, because you want boards to be curvy. Because sometimes a mistake people make is, well, not a mistake, but it's just like, if people do this, is they add boards that are just like so like straight. It's like just literally like a square. While we like Mario Party boards to be fun. Mario Party boards are fun, so I want to see curves, I want to see circles, I want to see things like that. So I love the shaping of the paths. So I will say that about it. And yeah, the blue is nice. I love the paths that you designed.
I do think some of them are a bit long. Looking at the right side, the tundra-looking area, the white section, I think like that one's a bit lengthy. I don't know if I would choose to ever go down there unless it's a star, especially if there's a bank there.
True.
So I think that would be one of my complaints. So we ultimately gave you 6 out of 10. It's not the most creative, interesting thing, but it gets the job done, and they're just good paths. Space distribution. We think it's good. We think you did a good job with space distribution. We do think that there's an excessive amount of chance time spaces, just a little bit. I personally tone it down, because you know how chaotic that can be. Friendship ruining, we all know about that. Recent scars and recent memories. Yeah, what else do you think about the space distribution here?
I think you pretty much said it all. The chance time is the only thing I really have a problem with. I think I said this earlier, but chance time being done earlier, that's fine. Like, there was one board that was sent in before where there was, like, chance time near the beginning. Now, that's different, but I'm okay with that if it's just one. If it's just one, it may be like, oh, I'm scared. But if it's just one, you can get away with it. But when it becomes, like, more than one, it's like, oh boy. You don't want chance time to be so easily accessed. Not on most boards anyway. You want it to be something that's rare, so that once you get it, it's really luck-based. It's very It's very much what it is. We know what chance time is. As Mario Party fans, we all know what chance time is. We know what it does. And we all have scars that have happened to us by certain people who landed on chance time. So, you know, just we want less chance time. That's what I'll say. We want a little bit less chance time.
Yes. Okay. Passing events. Everything is good. Okay, so this is where we're gonna get into that path again. The bottom right path, the one I was talking about earlier, that one has a bank space. So does the one going up. So that does force you to go to bank, but having that bank on that extra path, I feel that just eliminates all reason to go there, especially since you're already dealing with 3 battle spaces and a chance time space there. I think that just kind of ruins that path for me. Unless there's a star, that's the only reason I would ever go down there.
You said it. I do want another star in the end. I think the end was such a creative area. You kind of want people to go back there. So
Yes.
you should. What we think anyway. I'm sure SC agrees. Add another star in the end. Yeah.
Because that's a big chunk of the board going down from the left junction, and you only have 1 star there. So that also makes that bottom path below the item shop, like, why would I ever want to go that way? I think it's a little bit shorter, maybe 2 spaces. But it's just, there's really no reason to go that way. So keep that in mind. Originality, we talked a lot about the inn. We really like the inn. We really like the snowman and just the burst of energy that you get from all these characters showing up all at once. But especially the inn. We really like the inn. So we are giving you a 6 out of 10. It's a good idea. For guidelines, you met everything, but we would like more of a description of what the happening spaces would do on this board. And I'm looking now, and I actually see that you don't have any happening spaces, period. So that's actually not good for space distribution, because then you cannot get a bonus star. Despite what Party Planner 64 does, you still get bonus stars for landing on them. So that's actually something to keep in mind when you make your board. So 4 out of 5, because you did not do that. And for the contest theme, we said that it fits the theme already. This board's called Christmas Outpost. Maybe call it Winter Outpost, because we got a Christmas tree and that's about it for Christmas. So maybe change the name. But it fits the contest theme. So 3 out of 5. Rounding all up, you get 30 out of 50 for your final score. So we liked your board, and thank you for submitting.
All right. Thank you so much for submitting. And next we have Poison Claw 64. We remember him. He submitted a board last time. So Poison Claw 64 submitted Naughty or Nice. Now, automatically, I just want to say to you, Poison Claw, I love the name of this board, because it definitely, you know, there are definitely people who are naughty, and there are people who are nice.
Yeah.
So it fits very well.
Yeah, it's a good title. It gives people like our judges here a good question to ask themselves. Are they naughty or are they nice? I already know the answer to mine. Star U is still trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
even though
SC is naughty. So, okay, now moving on, we're gonna review everything. Okay, let's start. The first, let's read your description first. Poison Claw had a description. Some people were throwing me off because couldn't focus. Okay, there we go. Poison Claw said this: naughty or nice? That is the question. Have you been naughty or nice this year? I know the answer for some people. Have you got all your Christmas shopping done? Yes. Head down the path you want your Christmas to go, and whoever the superstar is gets first pick for their Christmas present. The question mark space will have Mr. Blizzard launch you to a random space on the board. That's what he would have had the happening space do. Now, I think we both can agree that we know some people who are naughty and not or nice. So, you know, certain, you know, ghosts who like going around, right, SC?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Is it dark in here? No.
Oh.
It's pretty bright. Okay.
No, yeah, they're not there right now. I don't think. So let's move on to Poison Cloud. Sorry, Poison Cloud. We love the name of your board, so we're just kind of making jokes about it. We love the name.
Jokes. I'm sorry.
We love the name of your board. That's basically what we're saying. It's no shade or anything towards you. It's just we like making like fun jokes about it because we love the name. So let's get into the review. For background, we gave you a 4 out of 10. We kind of wish the background was more custom made and had more of a Mario Party feel. Now, what we mean by that is that for this board, most of what you see is just trees with snow on them. So I guess maybe what you were going for was a shop to buy Christmas trees, maybe. That's kind of what I was thinking when I first saw it. I was thinking like, oh, because I remember when I was younger, we would go to a shop like out in the forest or whatever, like, you know, and you go to a shop and get trees. I'm pretty sure people do that, right? I'm pretty sure. Not him, but other people do that. If you live in certain parts of town, you would do that. They have like little shops with a bunch of trees lined up. So that's what I'm talking about. And that's what I was getting at. That's what I thought it was based on, but still, it's very, very much standard. So we gave you a 4 out of 10. It didn't really feel like Mario Party when we looked at it. For path layout, we gave you a 3 out of 10. We love the candy cane paths. Let's make that very clear right now. Yes, we love the candy cane paths. That's so cool. That's so creative. There's red for nice. There's green for Black Friday. There's a Black Friday section where you go to 2 item shops. And naughty is blue, which I kind of was thinking that naughty would be red and nice would be blue, but I kind of see why you'd kind of like, you know, invert those. Some of the paths, you know, it's kind of confusing. It's basically just a circle, but sometimes the spaces are a little bit out of line with that circle. When we played the game, they're a little bit out of place. So if that could be fixed, that would make it a lot better. So we gave you a 3 out of 10 for that. For space distribution, I'm gonna need to sit down for this one. So, Poison Claw, we gave you a 1 out of 5 for space distribution. Now here's why. Let's look at the board. There's a nice section, there's a Black Friday section, and there's a naughty section, which, you know, some of us are used to going down. It's not right, I see. So for the naughty section...
That's why you had 0 coins throughout the whole
That's
game.
right, the night... Can I read the board, please?
Go ahead.
Good boy. For the naughty section, there's a bunch of red spaces. There is a ton of red spaces. There's a ton. Like, a ton. And it's not like, oh, it's like only 10 spaces. You walk through 10. You walk through, you know, like you get a dice block, you get 10, and you just automatically go through all of them. No, you get a 10, and there's still a bunch of red spaces to go. That is not rewarding in any single way, shape, or form. That's a problem.
And like
Now,
naughty isn't supposed to be rewarding. We get that, but
well, he gets
like
it.
even nice is not that reward. I mean, like there should be some redeeming qualities to going to naughty, because
Besides visiting Boo.
right, because it's not worth it. You're just gonna lose all your coins on the way out through Bowser battle, and Game Guy's over there too, and it takes a while to get out. So yeah.
And trust me, when we played this board, all SC kept doing was going through the naughty section, so he would know better than anyone. So, yeah, I definitely would have that fixed. I would just change some of the space distribution. Add more item spaces. You know, I get it. Add some of those red spaces, but maybe add some blue spaces. Add some, maybe put more star spaces there, so there are more stars in that area. Because from what I see, there's only like, what, one or about two or three will be there.
2. And didn't that make sense that there aren't too many because it's a place you don't want to go to? But I mean, like, come on. Like, if that one person, first off, no one's gonna want to go there when the star appears. So when that one person finally goes, they're gonna go through chaos just to get that one star.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good design. I don't. And I think for the nice section, the nice section is not even that nice because there are a ton of red spaces. That place should not have to worry me as much as it does. I mean, for the nice section. So yeah.
That's something that to keep in mind. So we gave you 1 out of 5 for that. That's something definitely to fix. fix this for the future. For passing events, we love the Black Friday section, especially SC made a comment about how he liked the item shops being there. You said you liked double item shop. You thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I like double item shops.
Now me, I don't like double item shops, and let me tell you why. I love going through the board and eventually passing by an item shop, being like, what can I get? What will fit this situation? Now, when it's only in one location where you can find these item shops, it's like, oh, so I passed through one item shop, I didn't want anything. Okay, maybe in a second one, maybe I'll find something I want, but that's it? Like, I'm not going to see another item shop anywhere? But if I take the nice path, or if I take the naughty path, some people do that, you'll only get, there's only a couple item spaces on the board. I forgot to mention that for space distribution, there's only a couple item spaces on this board. There are very few item spaces, and that's a problem.
Yeah, there are 5, and it's in one spot. So.
Listen here. Spider Staryu likes item spaces, okay? He loves an item space. He loves getting as much as possible. He loves answering the questions truthfully. Oh, if there's 50 coins on the side of the road, how many would take? I would only take 10. Some people would take all 50 of them. Isn't that right? But I would only take 10. That's true.
Yeah.
So
check around the corner for more.
So we need more item spaces. We need more of those things. So for passing events, we gave you a 2 out of 5. There's just those things with spaces and passing events that needs to be fixed to make it more fun and fair for everyone involved. Mm-hmm. Now for originality, we gave you a 6 out of 10. And we give you a 6 because we get the gimmick. You split into 3 sections, and each section has a purpose. There's a nice section, there's a Black Friday section, there's a naughty section. So we get the premise of the board, and we like that premise. That's a very interesting premise. If done, if tweaked a little bit more, it could be a really great premise, and it could be a really fun board to play on. So we'll give you a 6 out of 10 for originality, because we thought it was really great. For guidelines, we've got a 4 out of 5. Some of the spaces were not aligned properly, and I want to say this to everyone: make sure the spaces on the board are aligned properly. If you have to keep redoing it, I know it could be a little bit annoying, but you want the spaces to at least relatively be on the path. You don't want spaces to be up, down, left, right. Like, it just looks weird. And it looks off. It looks cheaply made when it's like that.
And just to be clear, we're talking about not in Party Planner 64, but in the actual game, they need to be aligned. Right now, Party Planner 64, the spaces do not line exactly as they are shown in the tool. So that's what you meant by trying to test it over.
Yes, you test the game. You turn the game on and you test it out like that. That's what I mean.
I will give a tip, though, for people who are listening and are interested in making their own boards. For testing purposes, this is something I just discovered, which is so sad. But if you use Project 64, you can hit F4 or whatever button you have it set to basically fast forward to make the game super fast. So when you're testing and you keep having to turn it on, go through the menu, pick your character, pick your board, you can just press F4 and you can do it very quickly to get to your board and to quickly get through all the nonsense. So there's your little tip.
Yeah. And thank you for the tip. And for contest theme, we gave you a 4 out of 5. We thought the theme was done great. We get it, naughty or nice. And thank you so much, Poison Cloud, for submitting your board. Your final score is 24 out of 50. Thank you so much for submitting your board. And, there's some things to fix, but, thank you so much for submitting again. We love that people who submitted before are submitting again. That's so cool. We love that so much. So thank you so much for submitting again. And thank you so much for that name. I love the name of your board. It's so great. I can make jokes forever.
Speaks to your heart so much. Yes.
I know, because I know so many people who are nice, like myself, and I know so many people who are naughty, like him. So it's totally, you get it.
You just called Poison Claw naughty. Dang, that's so
I'm not talking about Poison Claw.
I think it's time to move on.
I'm talking about Super Zambezi. Okay, move on.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you, Poison Claw. Our next board is Iceland. This is by Sponge Yoshi, and it is for Mario Party 2. Now,
a lot of Mario Party 2 boards.
Yes, there are, which is good. I like Mario Party 2. I like Mario Party 3. Period.
And he also likes Mario Party 1.
Did not say that. Okay. let's get into the description. Okay. Almost all drawings are by my sister. Everything else is by me. This is Sponge Yoshi talking, by the way. Here's a brand new land for Mario Party 2. Iceland. Complete with custom rules. Because of the custom rules, this board can only be played with 4 human players. There are 2 custom rules for this board. Number 1, there are freezy spots for each branching path outside, marked by either a 1 or a 2. At the start of the game, only freezy spots marked by a 1 are blocked, which means you cannot cross them, acting like nighttime blocks. However, at the end of every turn, or every time you land on a happening space, like Luigi's engine room, 1 marked spots and 2 marked spots switch. If the paths marked by 1 are currently blocked, the paths marked by a 2 are blocked instead, and vice versa. However, you can bypass this limitation by using a skeleton key at the start of your turn, and you will be able to choose freely any path you want for the next branching path you'll cross. And that's just one part of the board. The other part is every turn that is a multiple of 5, you'll need to watch out for the avalanche. If you are not inside a cave, the paths that are in the navy blue section, you will go back to the start. However, since Party Planner 64 doesn't allow that, every player caught by the avalanche is obligated to go to the nearest red cross to be brought back to the start. Unlike the other rule, you cannot bypass it. Have fun with this board. I'm so glad it turned out so well. I'm very glad about that too, because let's get into this board.
Oh, look at him.
I like this board, alright? Background, very well done. Everything looks nice and it fits. The hand-drawn art looks really great, and you used the full potential of Party Planner 64 with the moving backgrounds. So when you play, you'll notice that the penguins raise their flippers up and down, and there's a penguin that pops into the cave and igloo. The lights on the item shops flash on and off. It's cool. It's cool. I really love it. I think, as I said before, people who make the custom backgrounds, I'm all for that. And everything just looks so nice. It just fits so well. I do think there are a few empty spaces, and it sucks because it's snow, so it's just kind of white, and it makes it look kind of worse. But that is a minor complaint. You even have a Goomba house that is featured in every single Mario Party 2 board. I love that. Before I move on, Staryu, anything you want to say about this?
I think you pretty much covered everything. It's phenomenal that someone was able to literally think that because Party Planner has limitations, if you play with 4 human players, you can do these little fun rules yourself. But the cool thing is also, you don't have to do these rules. If you don't want to, you can just play it out normally. I mean, obviously it's recommended, but you could just play it normally like that, or you would follow the rules, the fun little rules that he set with the freezies and the avalanche. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can do it like we did, where we didn't read the description first, so we just played. And then we read the description. So for the background, we give you a 9 out of 10. It's a very nice background. For path layout, there are lots of junctions, lots of options. The paths are never too long or too short, even though paths are a bit standard at times. Because they are. Some of the paths are just, nothing too interesting going on. But I really have nothing to complain about. We give this an 8 out of 10 for just having great path layouts. For space distribution, again, we think everything here is really great. We did note that maybe a few more battle spaces would be appreciated. Besides that, really no complaints. For passing events, again, everything is placed in a fair and smart location. The one and only thing we would mention is that the item shop is pretty far away from start. Usually when you start your game, you want to have access to the item shop, not immediately, but pretty soon. On this board, you need to go through, you have to pass one junction, then you have to pass that big junction in the middle, and then you have to do another junction just to get to the item shop. And since there is only one Mario Party 2, that's unfortunate. Simply put. So for passing events, we give you a 4 out of 5. Okay, so we already talked about this a lot. Originality, the 1 and 2 system, the caves, even the ability for the X to go to start. So creative, so original. I was shocked when I finally read the description and when we implemented that into the board play. I'm just gonna say 10 out of 10. This was very original, very creative, and I love it. I just keep gushing over this. Star, do you have anything to say?
I think you said everything. This, like I said, it's phenomenal that someone thought of all these ideas. And Sponge Yoshi, you submitted a board before. You submitted boards in the past, and the fact that you went from that to, I think you submitted one in the second one. I think, not too 100%
I believe that
sure.
was the Yoshi's Island. I believe that was.
I believe you submitted something for the second one, and then you submitted something here, and it is amazing. It is so crazy how you've grown and you're just getting so good at creating these Mario Party boards. I applaud you deeply because that is a massive improvement, and that is the improvement I love to see.
Yes.
So I can't wait. You know, we played your board, and I can't wait to play your board again in the future because that's definitely a board I would recommend playing because, dang, it was so much fun. So you did an amazing job, Sponge Yoshi.
And it's a good note for everyone who entered this contest for the first time. And if you didn't feel satisfied with your score, or you even weren't satisfied with your own board, like look at the change that has happened with some of the previous contest members. There's definitely room for improvement, and it's absolutely possible. So to wrap this up, guidelines, everything met, 5 out of 5. And for contest theme, it's definitely winter and Christmas. You can definitely see that. We give you a 4 out of 5 just because, you know, there could have been just a few more things added. Just a few. So 4 out of 5 for a final score of 44 out of 50. It's a very good score. I was very happy to give that score. Thank you, Sponge Yoshi, for submitting.
Thank you so much, Sponge Yoshi. That was amazing.
Okay.
That's the second applause I'm going to give you.
Okay. For the next board, this is Rosalina's Cosmic Ice Cap. This is by Mario Comics, and it's for Mario Party 1. So, let's get into some of the description, because the description is very long, so we're not going to read it all. But let's read some of it. Use your star power to light the observatory beacon. So just like Mario Party 1 boards, there's a little story going on. This is the story of this one. Let's see. Talking about the board's design, this is Mario Comics speaking. It's a relatively simple loop design with 2 branches off a main path. The farther paths provide access to chance spaces and boo. Lumas appear to congregate at mushroom spaces, and minigame spaces are more common in farther paths. Okay, let's get into the happening spaces. For happening spaces, I've got a somewhat unique route. First of all, the happening spaces located near clusters of starbits would cause said cluster to cloud your character. A Luma would come by and offer up a number of coins for said starbit. I've tried to implement this by causing these to initiate Koopa Troopa events. It works okay, but I feel like the starbits would give out as many coins as he does. Next, the happening spaces near groups of ice flowers cause your character to get blasted with a frost of cold air and frozen, losing a number of coins. I've cleverly hidden a red space under each of these happening spaces, emulating this event.
Sneaky,
However,
sneaky.
Yes, in practice, under current conditions, these are simply red spaces. Finally, the happening spaces on the ice tiles at the very top would have caused the leftmost one to break and the rest of them to float along over. In essence, like a conveyor belt, and the spaces on these ice tiles would even change. Landing on the leftmost one would cause it to break, your character to sink into the water, and then get sucked up into the black hole below.
Oh no!
We know who would go down there first. This would clearly cause at least a loss of coins. That's usually why Staryu is bankrupt at the end of this board. Unfortunately, this was too hard to emulate, so the happening spaces are left blank. I also tried to mask mushroom spaces, but the mushroom spaces ended up on top instead. Okay,
Well,
so
Essie won't have to worry about that because he's never on top. In Mario Party. Oh.
wow. Okay, yeah. Okay, interesting deduction.
Interesting fact.
So let's get into the background. So the first thing that we need to say is that this is very pleasing to the eye. It's a very interesting style for a Mario Party board. It's not the one that's used often, or at all even. It's got this very 2D pixelated look, sprite-based artwork. That's an interesting artwork style that I think works well. Not perfect, but I think it works well. The custom observatory is well done. But we wish some of the other assets were custom made. Because Star, you said that the ice flower is from Mario and Luigi, and some of the other sprites are. You can tell that they've been taken from somewhere else. They weren't made by Mario Comics himself. So, with that in mind, we wish some of that stuff was done yourself. Even like the classic Rosalina design, which you mentioned in your description. Even that feels a little out of place with the style. So, with all that in mind, 7 out of 10. It's a good score. It's a good background. So,
Agreed.
I think that. Path layout. So the path layout we can clearly see throughout the whole board. You see the light path. It's not confusing. We do wish that there were some arrows and directional signs, especially at the junctions, to tell us where to go ahead of time before we reach it. We don't want to be surprised. Because as it stands now, we're using a map of Party Planner's version of this board so that we knew exactly where we were going throughout the whole board. So with that said, we'll give you a 7 out of 10. For space distribution, we said there's a healthy amount of spaces for all your boards, and yeah, that's that. For the passing events, space distribution we gave you 4 out of 5. And path layout was 7 out of 10. I don't know if I already said that. Passing events. Everything is overall good, but there is a weird path that I noticed on the right side of the board. There's this very short path that doesn't really make sense. You can see it by the ice flower to the right of the observatory, the 2 big ones. There's a chance time space, there's a Bowser there, and there's a minigame space. Now, the problem is, why would I ever want to go up this path? There really is no reason to ever want to go up there unless you really want to visit Bowser, or unless you really want to land on chance time right there. I guess that may be the only reason. I want to land on chance time and I have to go to Bowser eventually because of it. There's not even a star space over there in that area when it combines with the other path to make it worthwhile to go back. So that's the only problem I think we see. 3 out of 5. For originality, the happening space ideas are very clever, and the way you implement them into the board is also very clever. Once again, we did not read the description when we started playing, so we were landing on happening spaces and random stuff was happening. Like, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. But with the description, that's actually super clever, and we really like that idea.
Oh, yes.
Overall, we think your board design is original, and we give it a 7 out of 10. For guidelines, everything's met, 5 out of 5. And for the contest theme, the snow and ice theme is there, but maybe it could be a little bit more detailed in certain spots. We give it a 3 out of 5 for a final score of 36 out of 50. Thank you, Mario Comics, for sending that in. Very good board for Mario Party 1.
Yeah, Mario Comics is someone I've known from the Mario Party Legacy website for a long time now. So he's been around Mario Party Legacy here and there for a while. So it's really interesting to see him make a board and, do such a great job. I like this board a lot. And I don't know if maybe I'm looking at the wrong image, but when I looked at your board, I thought that you had something along the lines of like in Party Planner where they connect each space to each space. I thought you kind of put something on the board. It might be like a very faint like line, but I see that you added like a little path for the spaces to go on. It's very like very hard to see, but it's like a little blue path, and it shows you where each space is connected to. So it wasn't that confusing for me anyway. But yeah, thank you so much, Mario Comics, for sending in that board. It's really cool. When I played on it, like Mario Party 1 is always like, you know, it's great to see boards for it though. But that was a really good board. So thank you so much for making Mario Party 1 actually fun.
More bearable.
More bearable. There you go. Alright, so I'm going to move on to the next board. And the next board is Santa's Sights by, literally, this is how they have put the name, Stalfos' sister. Stalfos. So, if you guys remember Stalfos submitted a board for the previous Mario Party board contest. And his submission won. So he was the one who submitted before. I think he submitted all of them, actually. What was the first one? Black Quillis and the first one? Yes. Something like that? Yeah. And the second one, he submitted Paradise Isle. So this is his sister submitting a board now. It's called Santa's Sights. And as you can see from the board, it's like a little workshop. And so let's read what she has to say about the board. Here we go. This is what she had to say. Hello, my board hello, by the way. Hello, my board Santa's Sights is all about Santa's living. Let me continue. My board Santa's Sights is all about Santa's living space. His house is also his factory, so he can eat, sleep, and supervise the Shy Guy elves in one place. When you step on a happening space, you trigger a stampede of reindeer to magically come from nowhere and chase you down the hole. Just like, think of like Donkey Kong's Jungle Adventure or Chilly Waters, where like a snowball comes down and it's like chasing you. Like, kind of like that. And the workshop areas, you can find some cool Nintendo gear that might interest you. And don't forget to shop at the gift shop. Don't forget to stop at the gift shop.
Literally an item shop. That's so cool.
That is so cool. Look, Stalfos' sister, you did an amazing job with this board, and we have some things to tell you about this board. So let's get into it. Background is the first one. Lots of great details, like the lights pouring out the window and all the presents and decorations. Oh my god, the background is phenomenal. Like, and this looks like, when I look at it, it's 2D, and there's a lot of squaring. Like, you know, square-shaped paths. Now, usually, I said, like, I'm not a fan of that usually, but if for here, it works well. It works great. You made sure that there's tons of stuff to see in the background. You added Shy Guys everywhere. Like you said, there's a little gift shop on the left side of the board. There's, Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, I guess, sleeping together in one bed. And, like, they have the hat from Odyssey. What's his name? Cappy? Cappy and his sister. I don't know what her name is. Tiara? I have no clue. And they're on the Claus's head. That's so cool. That's such an interesting touch. I didn't even notice it until I zoomed in. I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. There's conveyor belts for the Shy Guys. They're making toys. They have like stars. They have Yoshi. Thank God it's not Yoshi, man. Yoshi, a dice block. A question mark block, a Nintendo Switch, something from Banjo-Kazooie, something that SC would be interested in. What, Mumbo Jumbo? There's a Pokeball, there's a teddy bear, there's Staryu. Oh, I noticed that immediately. There's a little Staryu, like he's like kind of like beneath a space on the conveyor belt. That's so cool. Thank you so much for having Staryu there. Oh my god.
Yeah, if you listen to the last contest, you would know that if you put a Staryu on your board, you'll probably get like 30 extra points. So
that's not true. Okay, first don't.
Sister has been watching, listening.
First and foremost, SC is nothing but fake news. You'll get a few extra points, but you won't get 30 extra points. So let's not spread fake news. You'll get a few extra, not a bunch extra. I still have to like the board.
15 is not a few.
So just clocking that fake news that he spouts, but he doesn't know the truth anyway. Okay, so next one is path layouts. So path layouts, we said it's simple but complex. What we mean by that is the board itself is very simple. It's straightforward. You go up, left, right, whatever, and the paths are not exactly unique shapes. That's what we mean by that. But it is a little bit complex with all the background stuff. Like really help make the board what it is. So that's why we gave you an 8 out of 10. And for background, we gave you a 7 out of 10. I think I forgot to say that. For background, you got a 7 out of 10. And for path layout, we gave you an 8 out of 10. We love the conveyor belts paths. That's so cool. That is just awesome. Next is space distribution. Now, Stalfos' sister. We love that you had Staryu on the board. But this is something I have to clock on. I have to clock you on. No item spaces? No item spaces. That's not okay. Now, one thing I recommend deeply for you, Stalfos' sisters, I recommend you, when you're editing the board, add some item spaces. There are a lot of red spaces on this board. We don't need that many. You could take some of those red spaces and turn them into item spaces, and then, to me, it'll be more fair. Like, just change a couple of them. Put like 5 or 6 item spaces on the board. And that'll be pretty good. You know, hey, for me, I would put like 12 of them on the board if I could. But, you know, just a healthy amount is like 6 or 7. Add some item spaces on the board because, yeah, there's 2 item shops, but there needs to be another way to get items. Because you don't want it to be like where, you know, the only way to get items is the item shop. There's going to be very low item use on this board then. So make sure that you are putting item spaces on the board. Yes, please. So, because you had none, we gave you a 2 out of 5 for that. Also, one thing we also wanted to mention was the game guy spaces. We thought that it was a little too hectic. All the way to the left part of the board, there's a game guy, Bowser, Red, and then another game guy. That's a little bit much, especially kind of close to the beginning of the board. Like I said before, I love interesting spaces, rare spaces at the beginning sometimes. Like when you add like a chance time space at the beginning, or you add a game guy at the beginning. That can be interesting if it's just 1. But when it's 2, it automatically becomes too much. 2 is too much. Just remember that. Always remember. 2, too much. So you'll always remember because it basically says itself. So that is something to keep in mind. Essie, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I just want to mention the red spaces again. This is a very short board. It can get around very quickly, and it's smaller than any of the original Mario Party 3 boards. So the amount of red spaces, that's not, no, it just has to be less.
There's like 15 or more, so you can definitely remove some of those red spaces. Like, look at that triple red space in the top left part of the board. That's too much. You don't need all that.
And that makes sense. I know why. Like, that's the shortcut, which it's not even that much of a shortcut, actually. But there are just lots of instances where, like at the very top, there's a double red space. I think in the Mario Party 3 boards, you usually had like 9, 10 out of like 80, 90 spaces.
So because you have like 70 or something spaces, I would make like 7 or 8 red spaces, not like 10. 7, even 7 sounds like a bit much. Just 7. 7 would be good. 7, 6, like that. Yeah. So 2 out of 5 for that. Passing events, we loved the item shop as a gift shop. We wrote swell because it's so cool. We love that you did that. That's really creative. A gift shop, that's so cool. But one thing we want to mention though is bank spaces. You forgot to put the bank space on the board. You have the bank there, but you can only pass it. You can never gather the coins that are inside the bank. There's no space to land on. It's just a passing event that you just pass and then you lose 5 coins. So when you edit the board, make sure that you put a bank space there with the effect so that you pass it and you can land on it like that.
Yeah, those Shy Guy elves are greedy. They're not letting you take they get the
I know,
money.
right?
They're keeping it.
It's like a pay toll. It's, like when you're in a car, you have to pay to like pass by.
Don't remind me.
Okay, so we give you a 4 out of 5 for that. For originality, we love this board. We love this board a lot, especially me. Like like as he said, when you put a Staryu on the board, automatically you're gonna get my attention. So not by 15 points, but by some points, yes, you'll get my attention for sure. So we love it, but we do love the idea of a workshop, a Santa's workshop. That's very creative. That has not been done before, at least to my knowledge. I haven't seen it done before, so that's really creative. Like conveyor belts and everything, that's really nice. So we gave you an 8 out of 10 for originality. For guidelines, we gave you 4 out of 5 because you did not follow the space requirement where you have to have 1 of each space. So, because you didn't have no item spaces or bank spaces, oh, it's a 4 out of 5. And for contest theme, we gave you 5 out of 5 because it just perfectly matches what we were looking for. An original winter holiday themed board. So 5 out of 5 for that. So overall, you got 38 out of 50 points. Thank you so much, Stavros' sister, for sending in. It was really cool, really great. We loved playing this board. You know, obviously with a lot of these boards, you know, sometimes they need just a little bit of edits. But now that you know what needs to be, you know, fixed, now you know, and you can just fix those little minor details, and then it'll be an amazing board. All right, so thank you so much, Stavros' sister, for sending in.
Awesome. Yes, thank you again. Okay, so we are getting close to wrapping it up. We've got 2 more boards left. The second to last board is Geometrical Winter. This is by Merc5672, and this is for Mario Party 3. Okay, so very short description. This is for the contest. I uploaded it on 29th of December at 23:15, so that's, you know, right before the contest ends. I hope I'm still in time. Have a good new year. Just for future reference for people, yeah, we do have a deadline for contests, but if you do need more time and you do need the extra few days to finish up your board, I would much rather you spend those days working on your board than trying to rush something in for the deadline. The deadline is there because, well, we need something, some kind of like, hey, you know, we're about to start. When we finish our contest, we don't immediately start judging the board. I mean, it's January and this contest ended in December. We're recording now. I mean, you can have the extra day. Just contact me, let me know, contact me or Star You, and let us know that you need the extra day so you don't have to rush. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's get into Geometrical Winter. Okay, background. Let's start with the background. We love custom designs. We love the effort that people put into creating something really unique that fits with Mario Party. And unfortunately, this board does not do those things. This board actually just takes a random image and like slaps it onto the back, and that's it. So it's very difficult for me to give a lot of points for something as low effort as this. And I don't want to be mean or rude, but it's the truth. This took 5 seconds to do. It really did not take much. You took a longer looking for the image than putting it into the board. So for that, we have to give a 1 out of 10. I mean, the board background does nothing to the path layout. They have no relation. It's just, it's literally a photograph. So 1 out of 10. For path layout, we actually saw that this board has quite a few interesting junctions. You have like the diamond shapes and the ornament shaped loops on the right side of the board. That's interesting. That could offer up some unique gameplay that you don't see in other boards. So for that, we gave a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, we like that a lot. That was really cool. The path, the geometrical shapes, that's how you do shapes right. We love that part. And the Christmas bulbs or Christmas ornaments, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, you know, it's really cool that you did that. So that was pretty nice.
Right. Okay. So space distribution. Yeah, we gave a 1 out of 5 for this because if you can't already tell, this is pretty chaotic. There's a lot of really dangerous spaces placed. Look at the top left corner. Chance time, game guy, chance time again. You've got the bottom section where you have 2 Bowser spaces, 3 battle spaces. Even the loops are very dangerous. There's a chance time space. There's a game guy space. Bowser, battle.
I got an anxiety attack from seeing all that.
I know. Even there's a good number of red spaces. Like, there's too much going on. It's just very risky, and as you play this board, I would be surprised that some horrible thing doesn't happen to you, whether it's you lose all your coins in battle or game guy or chance time.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Like I said, it gave me an anxiety attack. There's a lot of chance time. There's a lot of game guide. There's a lot of Bowser. And that will scare anyone, alright? We're scared of Bowser, alright? Bowser takes our coins away. We don't want to see him all the time, okay? So, that many Bowser spaces is a little too much. You can deal with taking a lot of those spaces out. A lot of them out. A lot of them need to go out. If you're going to edit this board, a lot of them need to go. Just change it to blue, change it to item, change it to... even battle's okay at times. I can be okay with battle. Because there's a chance I can get a victory out of it. But Bowser... chance time, like things like that, it does not need to be all over the... it doesn't need to be plastered all over the board.
Yeah. Game guy.
Oof.
Yeah. For passing events, yeah, we also gave this a 1 out of 5. The item shops are actually not set up properly. They're placed on a space. You can actually land on it. I don't really even know what happens when you land on it. But it's not right. Party Planner 64 actually has some user guides that helps you use the Party Planner 64 tool. So refer to that, read up on that, and see what is correct and what's not. We also ran into a big problem with the skeleton key door at the very bottom of the board, because you just can't do that. It just doesn't work. First off, that's not how you set up a skeleton key door. You need to have 2 invisible spaces behind and in front of it. It can't be used at a junction. And even if it was set up properly, I mean, the path leads to the skeleton key door. What happens when you reach and you can't use it?
Yeah.
Game over? Like, I don't know. Are you stuck there? So that's a big error. So that was not implemented correctly, and we actually had to modify that in order for the game to work, for us to test it. So we gave you a 1 out of 5 for that.
And remember something, guys. I don't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
Go ahead.
But when you guys send these boards, we assume that everything's finished. Well, like, we know it's for critique, but we assume that it's finished. You sent this to us as if it was done. So we shouldn't have to edit anything. Because remember, when you submit boards for Party Planner, especially for Mario Party Legacy, when your board gets added to the database, it has to already be ready. It has to be already that someone can download it and be like, hey, I'm putting this board in and I can play it right away. Just right away, instantly play it. It shouldn't be where you give it to us and then, like, we have to go into Party Planner ourselves and edit things and change things. That's inconvenient for people who want to just play the boards, you know? So that's why we're kind of critical on it.
Right, and that's also why I'm going to skip a category. That's why we gave you 0 out of 5 for the guidelines, because when we try to import, there are errors. We cannot overwrite it unless we ourselves modify it. So just like the first board in our contest, we cannot approve this download for other people to enjoy because there are errors. It does not work. So for this board and that board, we're going to need you guys to modify it so that it works and then resubmit, because right now it is not playable. It's just not playable. So going back to originality, so again, like with the background, like that's like the opposite of original, unfortunately. Like, this is not original at all. I'm trying to be honest, and I'm letting you know that this is not original. The path layout, on the other hand, does have a few things that makes it a little more unique. So that we talked about the junctions and the ornament shape paths. That's different, and that's interesting. And I would actually suggest modifying your path layout, because it's not so much the path layout, it's the space distribution that really makes it chaotic. Modify your path layout and make your background based on that, and create a unique board that way. And then take tips from other successful boards from this contest, from our downloads page, and create something really unique through that. Because I can see there are good ideas, but just there are so many drawbacks to this board. For originality, we give you a 3 out of 10, and for the contest theme, we give you a 1 out of 10. It's because it's a picture of winter. So I guess that's part of the theme. So for a final score, we gave you a 12 out of 50. I really do appreciate that you sent this board in regardless. I wish it worked, but it's good that you sent something in and that you tried, and that you hopefully take our criticism and use that to make something truly unique.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, it can only go up from here. You know what things that were wrong, so if you submit it in the future, you won't do those same mistakes, and it'll be a lot better. Sometimes we have to make mistakes to know that. I will know after that. Okay, that was wrong, so let me not do that again. So I'll do it differently this time. And if you submit it again, you'll do it differently, and you'll do it. Maybe you'll do it better. So you'll have a better board. So thank you so much, Merc. That's his name, right? Merc. Thank you so much for sending in.
5672. Thank
you so much for submitting it in. Okay, so we have one last board here, and it is from Stelphos King. Who's Stelphos? Just kidding. I know who Stelphos is. So Stelphos submitted something for the last 3 contests. Last 2 contests. Oh, we had 4 contests. No, he submitted something in the last 2 contests, and he's been submitting boards regularly. He made Paradise Isles for the previous contest, which that was the winner. Which that was an amazing board, by the way. Just a second clap, round of applause.
We're talking about that Paradise Isles again.
Because that was the applause from like months later. Hey, that was such an amazing board. Now with this one, I was over the moon with this board. His board is called Dream Haven. And I'm going to read his little description he had to say. It's not little, actually. It's a big description. But I'll try to read as much as I can of it. Okay. So this is Stelphos. This is what he had to say. I'm back with my signature looping islands. This board was created for the 3rd Create a Mario Party board contest. Boy, was this a lot of work. So many problems. Anyway, I still had a lot of fun making it. I hope I achieved the effect I was going for. The idea is that you're traveling through Toad's Christmas Eve dreams. Once again, I got the vast majority of the assets used from 3D Warehouse, but this time I'm proud to say that I've modeled the banks, the shop, and the bed Toad is sleeping in from scratch in Blender. So he did all that stuff in Blender. That's pretty cool. You're improving. That's awesome. I also drew the Christmas trees on the top left island from scratch, which I love those trees. Oh my god, I'm already reviewing the board. Wait, I gotta stop. Yeah, he created the Christmas trees, and I even made the background animate so that the glowy thing would pulsate and the smoke would puff in and out from the trains. But there was a weird flickering problem, so he sadly took that out. So when you download the board, it's not going to have that. At least for now. Right now, it didn't have that. Players start on the center island and can cross any of the 4 bridges to proceed to any of the 4 secondary islands. Travel on all islands is clockwise as indicated by the arrows. From any island, you can either proceed to the next island in clockwise order or back to the center island, allowing truly free travel across the map. This way, to destroy the linearity, is that how you say it, of the board, I always like to encourage player choice and strategy. The space distribution went through many revisions before it came to this final one. This involved much convincing to get my siblings to test it with me, and it will hopefully be further improved after critique from our judges. Anyway, I really hope everyone likes it. Please leave comments and ratings. This board was created for Mario Party 3, but was ported to Mario Party 2 due to Mario Party 3 version being unstable right now. I intend to port it back to 3 at some point. I know now how to make it more stable. Okay. Woo! That was a mouthful! Oh my gosh! Can I catch my breath? Okay. I'm good. For background, we're gonna go through all of this. Background, we gave you a 9 out of 10. Stelphos, how do you do this? How do you make your boards so Mario Party-like? They're so... It's like it was taken directly out of Mario Party 3. Or Mario Party 2, in this case, sorry. In Mario Party, it's like taken directly from Mario Party 2. It's so crazy how you make the boards this way with the 3D models and stuff. It's like... It's just like Mario Party, and then when you port it into the Party Planner and you play it, it's just like Mario Party. It's exactly the same. Everything is the same. The portrait type feel is exactly the same. It's so crazy how you're able to do that. It's like, I feel like your name is Stelphos King. I feel like you are the king of Mario Party boards. Being honest, that's my opinion. You do such a good job with the background. It's amazing. Just going over some of the stuff you have candles. You have Toad. Obviously, he's dreaming. You have like chocolate gumdrops. You have just gumdrops. You have a little stocking, which when you go to the bank, it gets more and more filled up with coins. That was so cool. You have
Did
like
you see Koopa Cola?
Yeah, I saw Koopa Cola right next to the bank. The bank's like on top of like an apple pie. I think it's apple pie. There's like a little tray that's like Lifesavers and Hershey's. I think that was so cool. I didn't even notice that at first. Oh, and you know me, I love food, so I'm surprised I didn't notice that at first. But I was just like, oh, it's a train. But I'm like, wait, oh, it says Lifesavers. It says Hershey's. I want to eat that train. There's candy canes. There, like you said, there's the Christmas trees. There's a little reindeer in the background showing Santa Claus. That's so cool that you did all of that stuff and it all ties together. And this kind of relates to path layouts as well. I love how the board itself is like, it's an island that got cracked into 4 fractures. So basically it's like an iceberg that got like fractured into multiple parts. That is so cool that you were able to make it seem perfectly cut up. I don't know if the word is cut up, but like fractured. Yeah, because it got fractured into multiple parts. So the fact that you did all that is so just mind-blowing to me, how perfectly it fits and how it works. And there's bridges of each kind. So for background, we gave you a 9 out of 10. And for path layout, we gave you a 9 out of 10 as well. And Essie, do you want to say something? Look like you were going to say something.
Actually, yeah, because I know you're like...
I'm gushing over this board.
Gushing over this. And I mean, I love it too. But I'm actually the reason it's a 9 out of 10. Because I said that... I do feel like there are a few empty spaces. Like, this board has a lot going on. There are a lot of references, a lot of details. But I do feel like the bottom right area and the center area especially are just very empty and sorry, not very empty. They just have a few empty spots and I feel like they could use a little bit more to liven them up. So that's all on me. It's 9 out of 10. I take credit for that.
Yes, he does take credit for that. But just put like frozen bananas on that part of the board, and then you'll be good. I'll go back up to 10. I also love the Nintendo 64. You had that again. You had the Game Boy. Oh my God, I can keep going on. It's crazy. Okay, for the next one, we already did background and path layout. We're gonna move on to space distribution. For space distribution, we loved everything. Everything. You said you tested it, and I believe you, because everything looks like it fit perfectly. The only thing I did say, though, is I think that there should be maybe one more battle space. That's it. I think there should be one more battle space, because the 2 battle spaces are kind of close together, and there's only one other one on the board. So it's like all the way on the right side of the board. So I think maybe add one more battle space. Just one, and then it's perfect. I just think just add one battle space.
And I love the top left island. I actually spent like the last 6, 7, 8 turns over there because there's so many item spaces.
Oh,
I love it.
And especially if this got ported into Mario Party 3, oh my God, Item City, yes please. I would love that. So yeah, we gave you a 5 out of 5 for space distribution. For passing events, we gave you a 4 out of 5. And here's why. Me and Essie, I think we both agreed on this. There's a star space right after bank. It's right after bank, so a star can appear right on that blue space after bank. After you buy a star, that turns into Baby Bowser, because this is Mario Party 2 right now. This is Mario Party 2, so once someone buys that star, it turns into Baby Bowser. And we saw this with computers. Computers kept passing by that area. They kept circling, because computers, computers have a mind of their own. They kept circling that part, and it kept losing... Or no mine, yeah. And they kept circling that area, and they kept losing 10 coins. They would win the minigame, and then they would just lose 10 coins. They'd just lose those coins they just got. So, yeah, maybe that's not the best place to put that star. That's just what our personal opinion is. You don't have to change it if you like it there. But
can I also mention...
You go ahead.
When we played Donkey Kong...
Oh, no.
Donkey Kong was on the bottom right island over by that... the freezy, the 2 freezies right there, and you can loop that, and he just kept looping and looping and landing on red space, red space, red space. I just felt so bad for him, because, he's clueless 98% of the time. Oh, come on, we love Donkey Kong, but let's not kid ourselves that when it comes to Mario Party, he's a different ape. He's a different ape.
You're not wrong. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I can't go on more. I can't. I'm repping Donkey Kong right now. You see, I'm repping Donkey Kong, so I can't talk much more nonsense about Donkey Kong. Okay, so I gotta cool it down. We gotta cool down the Donkey Kong discussion. Originality. We gave this an 8 out of 10. Once again, the island gimmick is back. You're using the island stuff, but you know, the way you did it is new enough to warrant its return. This board is different than Paradise Isles, and I think anyone can see that. The way it's shaped, and the only thing that's similar is, oh, it's an island. That's it. But the rest is very much different. The theme makes it different, and everything around the islands, the different fractures of icebergs makes it different. So
Yep.
we gave you an 8 out of 10 for that. Guidelines, you got a 5 out of 5. Everything was met. And the contest theme, we gave you a 4 out of 5. It fits the winter theme, and it just gives us some cool new touches added to this island paradise. So, or Toad's Dream, as it would be. And so, we gave you 44 out of 50. So,
Stalfos, thank you for sending that in.
thank you,
First and
Stalfos.
foremost. Yeah, so if you've been paying attention to the scores, you may have noticed that we now have a dilemma, because we now have two boards in first place. Stalfos just received a 44 out of 50. That's first place. But so is Iceland by Sponge Yoshi. That is also 44 out of 50. And so when we finished reviewing these boards and we came to the conclusion that we have a tie, I mean, we kind of wanted to okay, let's figure out who's actually first. And we bickered a little bit, and then Staryu called me stubborn, and I called him stubborn.
I think we both are stubborn. I think we could say that fairly. We're both very stubborn people.
Well, okay, so let me give some background.
Okay.
So, for me, I think both boards are phenomenal.
I think that too. But we're both impartial to one board.
Yeah, so I like Iceland just this much more.
And I like Dreamhaven this much more. So, it became where we were just like, well, I like this a little bit more, so we should let this win. Oh, well, I like this a little bit more, so I think we should let this win. So we just kept going back and forth. We were like, why don't we just let both of them win? And then that's kind of the consensus we had to come to, because we just couldn't tell it apart, because you both made such awesome boards. It was hard to be like, this is better, or this is better, because we both either thought that that board was just a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that's what we came to. Both of you are the first place winners. And
Yes.
so, SC. And
So congratulations, first place
Congratulations, yeah.
to Sponge Yoshi for Iceland, and first place to Stalfos King for Dreamhaven. That also leaves us with a third place winner, and that is going to be Santa's Workshop by, Santa's Site by Stalfosis. You get third place. Apparently, board making runs in the family. You got third place. So, that's a compliment. Get out of here. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, everyone, for submitting. All 9 of you. We really enjoyed playing through your boards, reviewing them.
we like that there's so many boards this time too. Like there was 9 boards. That's so cool, guys. Thank you so much for all submitting in and, entering this contest. It was so cool. Like, everyone was submitting boards. Like, every time we got a board, every time SC got someone sent him a new board, he'd be like, Staryu, look. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's a new board. I'd get so excited. Oh, so, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for submitting all these boards. And hey, now we have more boards to play with Party Planner.
Mm-hmm. And these are going to be approved as soon as the video goes up and the article on the website, because we do have an article. I didn't mention this. We have an article written with everything written down, all the scores, all our thoughts, on MarioPartyLegacy.com. You can check that out there. Once this goes live, so do the boards. You can download them, play them, the ones that work at least. So look out for that. For the future of these contests, the last one, our second one, was half a year ago in the summer. This one was in the winter, and I'm guessing we'll probably have another one for the next summer. Summer sounds like a good time when people have plenty
Time
of
off.
spare time off, and we could do themes around summer again and stuff like that. So look out for that for in the future. And I think that's it. There's really nothing else we have to go over. If you want to follow me on things like social media, you can find me Super Zambezi on Twitter, YouTube, Nintendo Network, if that's even a thing. I think it's not, actually.
It's not. It's not.
Oops. Well, you can't do that anymore. Yeah. And on Mario Party Legacy, obviously. And on Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, Steam. I've been playing Fortnite a lot recently. You can add me on the Epic launcher, whatever they use. Staryu, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? I'm Spider Staryu everywhere in this world. I'm Spider Staryu on YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Google+, Instagram, and all of it is Spider Staryu. And also, I have a Buy Me a Coffee if you want to donate a little tip. It is Spider Staryu. Just look up Spider Staryu, look up podcaster, and it is me. That's me. Unless there's another Spider Staryu who's a podcaster eventually. But no, that's me. So you can go follow me on all those places. And yeah. Thank you so much for having me for this contest. Once again, this is our third time doing it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun reading your guys' boards and stuff. You guys already know. Thank you so much for submitting. And I can't wait to see what happens next time.
Yeah. And I hope we didn't hurt anyone's feelings. And
We didn't. If I'm sorry if anyone's feelings were hurt, but we just want you to make the best board possible. And if we lie and say like, oh, it's great, then you'll just keep making the same mistakes, and then no one will be downloading your boards. So you have to be honest so that you can have some improvement. Like look with Sponge Yoshi. He went up and up every time he submitted a board. Each board, and look, he's the winner of this contest with Stealthos. He is the winner. Isn't that so cool? So you can be that person who makes it up, and then you win the next contest. So don't give up hope. There's always room for improvements.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for submitting. Thank you, Staryu, for being a judge. And we will be back for our next contest sometime in the future. Thank you again. See you then.
Goodbye.